What's up, guys? It's Derek Kirby, back to talk some more Mavericks basketball tonight. And nope, I left my phone on. Wait. Oh, shit. No. Deny. Damn it. Sorry. I keep getting phone calls from these people that are upset that I keep thinking the Mavericks are going to turn a corner, and damn it. Hello.
Yeah, DDP.
No!
You told me the Mavericks.
Block caller. Jeez. Okay, and oh my god. Phone off? Huh? Off? Piss off! We're starting the show, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop it because I am going to look on the bro. My god. What fresh hell is that? Oh my god. Okay. Alright. Time. Whoa. What's up, guys? It is Derek Kirby back after a little bit of necessary house cleaning. And hopefully we've got that taken care of now. We, unfortunately, are not here under better circumstances, but it is all the same. A Mavericks post-game show segment, whatever you want to call it here. And, yeah, it's not ideal where we're at right now. As you see on the board, wait, can I fix my point? Yeah, I'm starting to actually remember it and not point in the wrong direction here. As you can see on the board, the Mavericks have lost 6 straight games. Now, silver lining, I will always look for the silver lining. They do have everyone back. They brought back Maxey, and that made them, for the first time in 425 days, field a complete roster with no one listed on the injury report, no one out in health and safety protocols. That's big, and this team is performing better. Whereas we were just outright embarrassed against the Jazz, I feel like the team's at least fighting at this point. And the good thing, I think, in that is if you look specifically at this last game, you obviously want to walk away with that victory. It's incredibly deflating not to get the victory there. But, you know, the team fought hard. It just came down to executing in the closing moments because the Mavericks had a foul to give. There's no reason to give Devin Booker that look. And yet they did. They didn't take the foul, so they let him spring open for a quick catch and shoot 3 with what? There was a second and a half left when he hit the shot, but even before that, there was opportunity for Dallas to get this win. You know, you want to talk about they did okay in the clutch, but it came down to those little details, those little moments where you have to actually step up and close things out. This case, KP wins the jump ball. After the Chris Paul missed layup, KP wins the jump ball, and the ball gets away from Maxey Kleber off his fingertips. You have to secure that. I mean, that's the game. You're up 2. You secure the ball with 10 seconds left. That was your opportunity to get out of there with a win. Now, obviously, you still got to do it, but you're probably sending Luka to the line at that point. He's 10 of 11 on the night at the foul line, so I was pretty confident if they had secured that they were going to get a chance to close out the game at the line. But yet, here we are. Hold on, I want to pull up some of these specific stats here. So Luka ends the game, 25 points, 5 boards, 8 assists, 7 of 19 shooting. Not great, you know, a hair over 33%. You want to see a little better than that. But, you know, he again, 10 of 11 at the line, 2 blocks, 2 steals. He was getting after it. It wasn't offensively his best game, but at least he was playing good defense and he was making free throws. He was getting to the line and making free throws. That should be enough. You got a better performance out of KP, 19 and 10, 3 blocks and a steal for him. Now he's still only 6 of 15 shooting. The shot has not come around yet. And, you know, as I said previously, I'm to a point now where I understand it's problematic that we have to this often talk about, hey, he's rusty right now, but when KP gets going, I don't doubt he has the skill set to do it. It's just, for whatever reason it is, whether we're talking about the coming off the ACL, whether we're talking about coming back from the torn meniscus and getting going for the first time this year, we have to have a conversation about how much of it is Rick and the offense, getting guys to their spot, getting KP to his good spots, his favorite spots on the court for him to get initiated early on, and how much of it is just on KP. It's nothing is ever one shot, one clear thing. It's not just, oh, it's all Rick's fault, or oh, it's all Luka's fault if you think that Luka is the one that's problematic here. It's not that sort of thing. What it is a combination of factors. I think KP, who's been very open and transparent in post-game interviews and all of that, he will let you know what's going on in his head. And, I don't know if there's been a specific moment where after recent games he's talked about a questioning of his own confidence a little bit, but it kind of reads that way. And we know at times last year he did talk about that. He did talk about how in the early part of the year he struggled with that, like with building up his confidence as he was struggling to find his shot, particularly from outside, whether it was threes or extended range. It takes some time, and we can have a conversation about whether or not that's problematic to have your second guy be this inconsistent or this adverse to working through adversity. Not that he's against it, just his ability to rise up to it seems like it isn't exactly what you would want. So that's a conversation to have. But you got a better game out of him. You got 24 points out of Richardson, who I thought was strong for the Mavericks, even though he's the one who, gets behind a little bit on the inbound pass to Devin Booker. He has 24 points for you, and he gets you a couple steals as well. 9 of 16 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3. He can do a little better there. But at the very least, he stepped up in that regard. He looks better than when he first came back in. And, I know things are bleak right now. I know it. Like, 6-game losing streak. This team never lost 3 in a row last year. To lose 6 in a row is unfathomable. Like, entering the year, I would have never guessed that was an option or a possibility. Even in COVID-era NBA, I would assume that was not in the cards. And yet, here we are. Let me make a slight adjustment there. And yet, here we are. The facts are the facts. They've lost 6 in a row. And we can talk all we want about, like, oh, well, health and safety protocols, or, oh, KP was hurt, or we still didn't have Maxey, we didn't have this, we didn't have that. You brought everyone back. And it's one game. I'm not going to get it twisted and say, like, oh, we had one game with everyone back, and damn it, they lost, it's over. Fire everybody. Trade all the good assets away. We're rebuilding. Start from scratch. It's over. I'm not going to be that guy because I think that's ridiculous. I'm not going to be the guy that says, hey, this is evidence that you can't keep KP as your second best player. I think you can. You just have to figure some things out. Now, if you can make a move that improves your squad, then maybe you take consideration in that, and maybe you're a little bit more open to it now. I'm not necessarily calling for drastic action because, again, one game on the year with a fully healthy, available squad. And they were right there. It just came down to closing. Yes, that's a carryover from last year as an issue, but we've seen growth a little bit in clutch time and how they're performing. Now, here's something I will call out. That last shot by the Mavericks, that look, absolute ass. Just a bag of asses was that final look for Dallas. You got 1.5 seconds left. You're inbounding the ball from half court, and you get a 40-foot fall-away three-pointer from Luka, who on the game is, what, 1 of 4? 1 of 4, I guess he was 1 of 3 at the time. But that's the look you get? I understand, like, you're not going to throw an alley-oop because teams know to look for that now. But my God, you could not have found a better look. I get it. Luka's got, as much ability, if not more, than anybody probably on the floor other than maybe Devin Booker to hit a clutch shot in that moment. We've seen him do it at times. But man, oh man, reading Luka's body language after the Devin Booker 3, he already looked defeated to me. And I'm not saying that to disparage Luka. He seemed like he was just like, oh my God, it's happening again. And then he gets that fall away look, doesn't even try to draw a foul or anything. And that's it. Like, that's the best shot you got in that situation. That's a terrible shot. That's an indictment on either the play that was drawn up or the execution of the play. And at some point, you got to have a conversation about, like, hey, let's assess blame to who it goes to here. Like, everyone's piece in this. Let's get it out there. Let's actually break it down and dissect it. And then let's figure out how to make sure this doesn't happen, because that's an inexcusable final possession. Oh, it's a make or miss league. If he makes it, we're not talking about it. I don't like that example here. I know the make or miss league, but I also believe in getting a high quality shot, a higher percentage shot. That was not a high quality shot or a high percentage shot. You could put almost anybody in the league in that fall away situation from that distance and be hard pressed to see him knock it down. So I don't like what they're doing necessarily. I don't like the direction that they're headed, but I do appreciate the fact that the team is fighting harder than they were a couple games ago against the Jazz. Those Jazz games, particularly that second one, was the most embarrassing Mavericks game I can remember watching for a while. Now, as Sai, I don't know how to say your name, so forgive me on that. As you're pointing out, yes, the minutes distribution were kind of wonky. The Mavericks took Luka out at the start of the fourth quarter, as they typically do. I should say Rick, as he typically does, takes Luka out. Mavericks had a lead. Mavericks come back. By the time they go back to Luka, momentum is shifted the other way. And that is another conversation to have, is, does it make sense? And overwhelming evidence suggests no. I understand Luka's got a rest here and there. But man, I don't like this idea of taking him out of the game. And then, yeah, it comes down to the rest of the team and what they can do. But you're consistently putting Luka out there this year, where by the time he's checking back in midway through the fourth quarter or whatever, or close to the midway point, gotcha. As you're sending him back in, momentum has shifted back the other direction, and it's like, all right, we're in the final frame here. We're working against a dangerous team in Phoenix in terms of scores. Devin Booker has made a living torching the Mavericks. He got off to a slow start. His final numbers aren't knock your socks off impressive. 24 points. You're like, that's all he did against us? He usually goes for like 40. But it's because he got going late. He got going in that fourth quarter, and obviously he sticks you with the dagger at the end, the game winner. And, it's self-inflicted. You had opportunities to close it out. You made some plays in the clutch. That's good. But you didn't do enough. You didn't do enough to secure the win. And so it's critical for the Mavericks as they try to figure it out. I don't know that I have trust in a lot of other guys right now to hold down the fort while Luka's on the bench in the fourth quarter. I just don't. And for that reason, I think you need to change up the rotation a little bit in terms of when you distribute his minutes. You need Luka in there borderline the entire fourth quarter, because you were in control of the game. You had the lead going into half. You had the lead late third quarter, and you take Luka out, and it goes to hell in a handbasket. So there's a problem with that. And in the case of the Mavericks as well, something that's not helping them. You give up 109. That's not an eye-popping in today's NBA. That's not an eye-popping like, oh, what terrible defense. But you got torched by guys that you needed not to let torch you. Chris Paul nearly goes for a 35-point triple-double. He goes 34, 9, and 9 on 14 of 20 shooting. And ironically enough, one of his misses is the best thing he had in the game. Why? Because it sets up the Devin Booker inbound pass. His missed layup leads to that. So ridiculous how that turned a corner and just completely shivved the Mavericks in the side in this case. But, you got weird stats happening from this too. I saw and this is a true statement, but it's I think also a misleading one. You have people who point out, like NBA Paint on Twitter points out, DeAndre Ayton is 8-1 against Luka Doncic in his career. This is a true fact. You know what also is a true fact? Luka's numbers against Ayton in those games wipes the floor with him. Like, Ayton's not a bad player, but if your argument is, hey, he's 8-1, he gets up for playing the Mavericks and he proves that he should have been rightfully the number 1 overall pick. If that's your argument, I would point out Ayton, 17 boards is nice, but 10 and 17 is not going to circumcede whatever Luka and what he does. How he's a top 5 MVP candidate last year. How if it wasn't for the Mavericks being in a tailspin this year, he would absolutely be in that conversation right now. It's frustrating, the narratives that people want to try and draw from these kind of games, because it doesn't encapsulate what the full context is. It's just it's a surface level glance and assessment. Something that we can talk about as well, and this is me trying to be balanced in it, as I'm in one breath talking about Luka and how great he's largely been this year, how he's made great strides on the defensive end, and offensively he's added a mid-range game, which is nice. He still can affect the game in any number of ways. One thing we still have to have a conversation about, and he goes 1 of 4 last night from 3, so not too many shots, but it's also true he's shooting 29% from 3. I believe every year thus far, and it's early in his 3rd year, so it's true, but it's also still a small sample size. Every year of Luka's career so far, his 3-point percentage has dropped a little bit. I think he was 33%, and then he was like 31%, I want to say, and I'm estimating there off the top of my head. If someone in the chat wants to throw that in there, by all means, go for it. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like he's taking small steps back. And the fact that he's shooting 7 threes a game this year while shooting 29%, I don't like that. Even in our offense that wants to shoot a lot of threes. As a team, we're shooting like 30%. We're 30th in the league shooting threes as a team. So why do we want our main guy who, of his bag, his offensive skill set, it's probably the weakest element of his game. Why do we want him shooting 7 of those a game? I understand he also, I think, leads the league in drives to the basket, and that's a physically exhausting, demanding, punishing task as well. But it's still not how I would prefer to utilize him. If he's hitting shots, go for it, sure. But if you're shooting 29%, maybe shoot fewer of those. And I would say that to anybody. I would say that regardless. As StatMuse points out, the 29.3% on 7 attempts per game, only Kelly Oubre is shooting a worse percentage from distance this year with a minimum of 100 attempts. And we remember the punching bag that he was early on in the year, and I guess still has relatively continued to be related to his inept three-point shooting. Carlisle said that the Mavericks were supposed to foul on that inbound pass. Again, the way he words it and the way Tim McMahon tweeted about it after the post-game press conference suggests that it was a failure of execution on the part of the players. I don't know. I mean, if it is, then yeah, you got to have a conversation about that and you got to address that. If it's not, if it's something that the coaching staff didn't instruct or didn't make crystal effing clear to the players, then yeah, we got to have a conversation about that, because it's unforgivable regardless of who messed up in this case. I don't care whose fault it is. I care that it happened, and I care that they don't let it happen again. So I don't know, man. The next game is going to be an interesting challenge because we know the kind of circus that follows the Mavericks as it relates to anything to do with the Atlanta Hawks. They're going to go to Atlanta, so it's Luka versus Trae Young, and we're going to probably have a bunch of trolls in the national media who want more than anything else to discredit Luka and his value, and they want to hype up Trae instead. You know, whatever. Trae's a good player, for sure. I also know that Lou Dort has only 2 fewer made threes on the year than Trae Young. Make of that what you will. But they're gonna hype up the game. The Mavericks are absolutely on the skids. They're gonna then point and be like, ah, ha, ha, look what the Hawks are doing. Look how much better the Hawks are doing right now. But I think that's not indicative either, because the Hawks went out and spent a bunch of money in the summer. They went out and spent a boatload, and they're still sitting at 10-10. I understand, yes, the Mavericks are currently 8-13. And if they go 8-2 over their next 10, that'll get them back to 500. What a painfully low bar it is right now just to get back, just to like be able to say we're a 500 team. Like, woohoo! 8-2 over the next 10 and we're back on even footing. Man. Here's the thing though, guys. Like, I understand the frustration. I feel the frustration. I about jumped off my couch so hard I pulled a muscle last night, screaming about that final possession, whether it was the Devin Booker 3 or the final shot they got. It's maddening watching how they're operating, because it's not how a team who knows how to execute in the clutch, for lack of a better term, and as redundant as it is to say, executes. Defensively, they got blown up and gave up a clean look to the one guy you can't give a clean look to. You want to talk about like, oh, well, hey, they had a foul to give. They should have used it. You know, they also could have just given up a 2 and avoided the whole problem in the first place. Not given Devin Booker. I get you go for the win. You shoot for the win. That's what all these guys do. Oh, they're down 2. They'd rather attempt a 3. I've never liked that mentality. One of the best shots, and I know it's a different era of basketball now, one of the best shots in Mavericks history. Game 7, second round, 2006, Western Conference semifinals. Spurs hosting the Mavericks. Dirk in overtime with the Mavericks down, spins and attacks the basket, gets fouled, gets an and one, and converts. Like, he didn't say, oh, I have to get a 3. Now, not exactly the same situation. I get that. The score wasn't the same. But the point is, I don't like the mentality of we need to go for a 3 every time. Just no matter what, go for a 3. Now, in the case of the Suns and how they executed, the Booker shot was right there. Of course, take it. I'm just talking about the mentality like for the Mavericks. You're down 1. And you want to go for a fall away 40-footer with a second and a half left? Not even a dribble? Not even get a step closer? Not even try to draw a foul? All right. It is what it is, man. This team is struggling. I do feel similar to what Luka was saying after the game. This team is turning a little bit of a corner. He thinks it's close. After the game on Instagram, you had Tim Hardaway Jr. and Josh Richardson, both of whom I think played well in this game, talking about, you know, we've had the whole team one game. Patience. Like, this team is better than their record says. And I will die on this hill. This team is better than they're playing. This team is a playoff team. This team is a team capable of playing with anybody. We can talk about how, hey, they don't have the shooters they need. Hey, man, the offense isn't anything like it was. By the way, it's not all Seth Curry. I know people continue to beat their chest and say it's all Seth Curry. It's not all Seth Curry. Like, in terms of the team three-point shooting percentage, does he account for a chunk of that? Sure. But he averaged 12 points a game. He wasn't the only one making threes. Now, you can talk about what maybe the gravity of the situation with him on the floor opened up for other guys, but I don't think that's the problem. I think you just haven't had enough Richardson this year because he missed 9 games, and we're a little over 20 games in at this point. He missed 9 of them. He's averaging 12.5 points a game approximately, and he had 24 last night. What he brings you on both ends, I think, is better. Now, you can talk about how, hey, their defensive identity they wanted to assume, their philosophical change that hasn't paid out yet. Not consistently. We saw glimpses of it, glimpses that raised your hopes. And I know because I was there with you. I was like, holy crap, I didn't think we would see another good Mavericks defensive team in a while. Like, I didn't know if we would see it again. I thought we might just become kind of like the 2002, 2003 Mavericks that were run by Don Nelson. And it was like, hey, man, we're just going to try and run you out of the gym. I don't give a shit if you can score on us. The question is, can you score with us? Like, I don't think you can because we're going to be a threat to put up 130, 140 any given night. That's what I thought we were going to be for a while. So I understand why they looked at what happened last year and they said, you know, if we got Luka and KP playing like they played in the bubble and we give them a defense, can beat anybody. It just comes down to health. Well, they made the philosophical change. They made the roster overturns that they made. And now here we are. And I see, people calling out Silas as well. That it was a blow to the coaching staff, no doubt. He's in Houston. Houston now, to their credit, they've been rolling. And I say that genuinely surprised given the departure of Harden and everything else that the Rockets are doing anything like what they're doing. I mean, they're the 8th seed. They're 10-9. They're a game over 500. With John Wall and Cousins and Christian Wood as your 3, color me surprised. But I don't know. I just think this team is better than what we've seen. They can be better again defensively. They can definitely break out of this offensive funk if KP finds his rhythm. Things go. Now, how far can they go? I mean, any team who can stay healthy and consistently play at a high level, yeah, then they can go really far. You can argue in the 2011 playoffs, the Mavericks just became that team. Dirk was playing as for a 2-month stretch of his career as the best player in the world. Did not matter who you put in front of him. He wasn't going to lose. And the rest of the team fed off of that. They had lethal 3-point shooters. They didn't have a single fellow all-star on that roster. That's insane. They had a rim protecting, emotional leader, a fiery leader in Tyson Chandler, a bunch of shooters and good fit role players, and one star, one all-star, one superstar. But they were that team. For that stretch, things came together enough for them to be that team that year. This current Mavericks team, they've got, KP hasn't made an all-star team as a Maverick, but he is a former all-star. He made the all-star team the year he tore up his knee, so he didn't get to play in the game, but he was named an all-star. So that's something. But I don't know, man. I look at this team and I think they're better than they've shown. They can do something, but it's not enough for me to bank on and say that I'm content. Now, does that mean that I'm willing to go swing for the fences for like an Andre Drummond? Nah. Does it mean that I run away from the idea necessarily? No, I want to see what the price is. But I also know that I don't really want to pay what he wants because I don't think long-term he's the solution to the problem. Now, he will fix some major problems for you. Rebounding, the Mavericks are abysmal there. He fixes that problem for you immediately, and that's big. It's a team that has not rebounded well this year. They're a team that doesn't score in the paint. They're a team that hasn't shot the 3 well, and they're a team who hasn't executed well enough in the clutch. And they've missed out on anywhere from 4 to 6 players on their roster at any given time this year. Not any given time, but throughout the year, they've had a lot of guys out, as many as 6 guys out. That's a recipe for disaster, and it's turning into that. If they don't turn a corner soon, it's going to go that direction. But I just feel that this team is close. And you could say I'm insane. You can say I'm a homer. I feel like they're close. They have next up the Hawks, as I said. Then they have, a nice homestand because they played a stupid number of road games. They've got at Hawks, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight home games, through which they'll play the Warriors back-to-back, the T-Wolves, the Hawks again, the Pelicans, the Blazers, and the Pistons. That's pretty good. Now, in this next 10-game stretch, can they do something? I think they're capable, but we'll have to see. Let me run through the comments here real quick through the live chat. I know we've had some good back and forth going. What up, Gleff? First in the house. Can't catch him. What's good? These are indeed dark days right now, but you know, it's just darkest before the light. Hold to that hope, and tomorrow will come. I don't know what else to tell you, man. I feel like they're close. Isaiah McIntosh, what's up? Eastside, not surprised you're popping into mouth off. Let's see. Dolenst, yes, they are. I mean, they're not getting whooped now, but they're, losing, and that's ultimately the same, right? Facts God, what's up? Let's see. Dilly, what up? Josh Richardson needs to bulk up. I mean, he is what he is at this stage of his career. He's 27, I think. He's not going to suddenly add on 15 pounds of muscle or something. But he can still be very effective for you regardless. Smart Scar, what up? Richardson, yes, I agree. Richardson is starting to find a little bit of a groove. And if he gets things going, you have him and Luka. I mean, really, to me, the pendulum here is KP. If KP can figure out, like, get through his own head, whatever little yips or whatever he's got that's throwing off his shot, if he gets that down, everything opens up. It's not going to be Luka having to try and drag him across a finish line, and we're not going to have conversations about how, oh, well, this one tiny little mistake here was like, a massive factor in the game, right? Whether it was the not calling the timeout against the Bucks earlier this year on that final possession. You get the offensive rebound, don't take the timeout, and now we have to have a conversation about whether that was the right move. Or this situation where it's, hey, we didn't control and secure the jump ball, which we won the jump ball, but we didn't control it, and it cost us. By the way, on that review, it looked a lot to me like Chris Paul knocked it out of Luka's hands and was the last one to touch it, but they jumped it up instead, and we got what we got. If Rick can't get this team back on track by the end of the month, I wouldn't mind letting him go. Here's the thing. They're not going to make an adjustment. They're not going to make a coaching change mid-season. They're not. Like, if Carlisle ever was let go, Cuban wouldn't do it in the middle of the year. It would be an off-season thing. And, I don't even know in front of me how many years he has on his current deal. I want to say it's 2. Like, he's under contract through next year. But regardless, I don't even think Carlisle would be fired. I just think he would not be brought back, would be my guess. And even then, I think Cuban would only do that as a last resort. I think Cuban is eternally indebted to Rick Carlisle for the championship because during that title run, Carlisle was brilliant. And he's shown brilliance in the years since then at times. That 2014 playoff series against the Spurs with the 8-seeded Mavericks, there was no reason that Mavericks team should have been able. You had Samuel Dallenberg and Dwan Blair. Blair was coming off the bench. I was about to say starting for you, but that Mavericks team had no business pushing the Spurs to 7. Taking a 3-2 lead. No business at all. Or was it a 3-2 lead? It was at least a 2-1 lead. But no business in that series. And finally, it just came down to they ran out of gas. They didn't have the weapons to throw anymore. They didn't have the same caliber of weapons that they were in this firefight with. And eventually the Spurs were like, oh crap. Okay, here we go. And, hey, Spurs have a damn good coach too in Popovich. So it eventually caught up to the Mavericks where they couldn't overcome it. But that was the eventual NBA champion, and you pushed them harder. Carlisle, specifically his coaching job, pushed them harder and further than anyone else in the playoffs that year, including LeBron and the Heat in the finals. Silas could have been a perfect successor for Rick. The only thing there, obviously, he's gone, and I'm not gonna lament it. When I look at with the Mavericks offense, like I talked about, and I think the last video, the ball movement has not been the same this year. The off ball action has not been the same. They're setting fewer off ball screens. There's fewer passes. There's a reason Luka's usage rate is through the roof, and it's largely because of the style that the Mavericks are playing. It's putting everything on Luka to make it work, and for the most part, it does, and he's been brilliant. But you're burning him up, and you're hurting, I think, the overall offense and what it has the potential to be. It's obviously Dirk's not a point guard. Dirk never ran the offense. But those teams were successful because of their ball movement. It was the 2011 Mavericks and the 2014 Spurs are the two best teams, and maybe the Warriors have a claim to this in one of those seasons as well during their dynasty. They were the best teams at ball movement that I can recall watching. Like, it was art watching these teams swing the ball. It didn't even have to be fancy passes. Just the way they swung the ball and kept the defense just constantly scrambling out of its brains, trying to get back and defend a shot. And no matter what, it seemed like they always generated a good shot. And then they had the shooters to knock down those shots. Like, it's incredible. Luka, what's happening right now is we just have way too many guys bricking a dozen shots per game that would be assists for him. Luka could average 15 assists a game if the guys would just knock down their shots. I get it. Make miss league, whatever. But I think we're putting too much on him, and I think it's making us more one-dimensional than we need to be, because when you can't excel at points in the paint, when you can't excel at three-point shooting, which is supposed to be your trade-off for points in the paint, when the mid-range is all you really got, and you only got like two guys that even really work in that space a whole lot, and one of them can't even really shoot right now, man, I just feel like you're taking all of the venom out of the snake in this case, and you're leaving it to Luka to just, charm the basketball into the basket. And I just don't like building an entire offense around that over the course of an entire season. So there's a lot to unpack there as I try to make bizarre analogies that hopefully convey at least what I'm going for. Became a Mavs fan because of how beautiful the offense has always been. Yeah, the 2010, 2011 Mavericks, thing of beauty. Absolute beauty. I want to see Terry get more minutes if we're losing anyway. I wholeheartedly agree, but when he's on the damn floor, I want the kid to shoot. The kid looks like he's afraid to shoot right now, and I don't understand it. He won't even pull the trigger on many threes, it seems like. Drives me insane. So, we'll see what ends up happening with the Mavericks here. They are so bad in shooting threes. Last year they were good, but this year is not good. Why? The reason, as I talked about, the part of it just comes down to they had the philosophical shift and they changed out a bunch of players. Those guys aren't performing like we thought. Whether it's Wes Iwundu, I know he's the end of the bench, but that's a guy that was, in that acquisition, a low-cost acquisition, a guy that was shooting 35, 36% his two prior years, and now suddenly he's like 14%. Now he's being asked to do more than he should be asked to do, but it still bears mentioning. You look at the number of guys you've had out and the inconsistency with your lineup in that regard, the guys working their way back into shape, because this isn't the same as just being like bum ankle where you can work out and condition around it and in the practice facility. Like, no, you're isolated in a hotel room for 2 weeks. You have no contact. Not no contact. You have your phone and shit, but you don't have the same access to work with the team. And so it's almost like you're completely stationary for like 2 weeks, and then you have to try and get quickly back into conditioning and all of that when you get back. It's difficult. And, it wouldn't surprise me if Maxey has a little bit of struggles in those regards as well. He looked good in his first game back, but would not surprise me in the least if there's an issue there. So the answer here, yes, you lost Seth Curry. Yes, you lost Silas off the coaching staff. And he in particular contributed a lot to the offense of this team. I get it. You also have guys not shooting up to their own standards. You also have a team that's been ravaged by health issues, whether it's coming back from injuries or, as is the case with most everybody, guys coming back off of COVID. And it's just completely made things go haywire. Few teams have been hit as hard as the Mavericks in that department this year. And yet the Mavericks only had one game postponed this whole time. The Heat and the Mavericks are the two teams who basically were forced to walk through fire and expect not to be burned. And the Mavericks in particular have been absolutely burned. Whether or not they can shake it off and keep moving forward and catch up now, we'll have to see. But it's extraordinary circumstances. That said, that does not give a pass for the coaches or the guys who haven't had those issues for not doing better. So that's hopefully a long answer that gives some context, at least my takeaway from this. The off-ball movement, the number of passes, you're creating good looks from Luka, but they're harder looks in some regards. You're generating fewer wide-open threes than you did last year, or even the year before that. And those are two things that need to be looked at. Terry's probably afraid of Rick yelling at him. Yeah. By the way, guys, if you don't mind, drop a quick like on the video if you haven't already. Anything like that satisfies the algorithm overlords and then helps the channel grow as a result. I see we got 76 people in the house. Salute, that's what's up. But only 12 likes. What's up with that? Drop a quick like if you would be so kind. Let me see. We are realistically out of playoff contention. I don't think that's the case. It's such a train wreck of teams in the West. Yeah, you've put yourself behind a bit of an 8 ball now, but going into the game the other day, you were still like 4 games out of 5th place, I think it was. Like, you're not out of it by any means. I think you're reading too much into it, Get Who. I agree that they struggle with finding a real sense of their identity, though. Do you think Luka is injured? He seems to be limping and hurting every game, the right leg. I think he's beaten up a little bit. It doesn't mean that I think he's injured. I just think that he's beaten up a little bit and that it's hampering him. So, something to consider there, something to keep an eye on. But Luka's got like 1 or 2 plays a game where he'll hit the deck and look like he might be roughed up or hurt, and then he shakes it off. Usually. Didn't we get an offensive coach from the Jazz? Yeah, I remember that, but I'd have to look at more specifics on that. Even still, it's early to expect a turnaround, and then again, the other circumstances. Have I hit the panic button? I'm not panicking. I'm on full alert, though. My hand is like, if there was a physical panic button here in front of me, like let's say my fist is the panic button, I'm like, like hovering very close to it, and I'm very uneasy, but I'm not panicking yet. I'm on the cusp of panicking, but we got to go like 3 or 4 more games before I'm just sitting here, world burning around me, and I'm, absolutely coming unglued. Let me see here. I'm going to see if I can find a physical depiction of what I'm trying to convey here. One second. Well, it actually appears that the answer to whether or not I can find that real quick is a emphatic no. That's a bummer. Huh. Ah, well. Anyway, so I was going to throw a stupid flame graphic all over the screen where the world was burning around me and I pretended to shriek and panic in the fire. Stupid shit. Typical stuff that I would roll out there. Coach is supposed to be an offensive genius. Well, he's going to have to earn that money the rest of the season as this team tries to finally turn things around a little bit. Let me see here. So, for those who have joined us since the start of the stream, I'm curious how many people actually got to see the opening kind of clip I put together for that. It was probably the third or fourth thing I tried today, and I'll be honest with you, the others were more ambitious, and I kind of ran into some technical things on that front. I probably should have had a clearer idea of what I was going for, and I tried to work a little bit winging it. And as typically happens with that, I either take on something that, given the time frame I have to do it, is a little over ambitious, or because I don't have a clear idea of it, it just isn't, the final product isn't as clear as I want. So I've not been holding off on doing this stream. It's not like I turned down the opportunity to do this earlier today. I just had to get things kind of in place. And then I was like, it's taking too long. Let me just do something quick and simple. Kind of builds on the recent continuity, and then I'll just do a live stream and we'll just talk about it. Commiserate about it. Let's see. So shout out to our newest members and patrons. A handful of you guys have jumped in on that in the last 2-3 weeks. Greatly appreciated for that. This is definitely something that I'm trying to throw even more content out there for you guys, more energy, more creativity out there for you guys as well. So anything helps in that regard. If you like what we do, drop a like. It's free, it's easy, it takes 2 seconds. And if you really want to go above and beyond, you can either buy our merch at represent.com. You can order some straight from me, just as Dallas Prospect as well. That's a lot of legacy designs. But there's also then the option of Patreon or YouTube membership. So plug Ola over. Let's see, I can take a few more questions before I got to wrap up here, but I'm about to have to go pick up my daughter in a few minutes. So I got about 3 to 4 more minutes. So if you got questions, tag at the Dallas Prospect, like some of you guys have been doing. It highlights it in orange for me and makes it easy to pick it out amongst the crowd. Let's see. I wonder if I should bother throwing that clip up there again. You know what? It's my clip. Why wouldn't I? Roll it back one more time. One more time. What's up, guys? It's Derek Kirby, back to talk some more Mavericks basketball tonight. And nope, I left my phone on. Wait. Oh, shit. No. Deny. Damn it. Sorry. I keep getting phone calls from these people that are upset that I keep thinking the Mavericks are going to turn a corner, and damn it. Hello.
Yeah, DDP.
No!
You told me the Mavericks.
Block caller. Jeez. Okay, and oh my god. Phone off? Huh? Off? Piss off! We're starting the show, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop it because I am going to look on the bro. Oh my god. What fresh hell is that? Oh my god. Okay. Alright. Time. Whoa. Salute. Appreciate it. Yeah, I thought you were saying like I am nutted. I am nutted. I sir am distinctly not. But wait. Wait, it depends on how you read that in terms of a vulgar mind. One of them I sounded like I was castrated and the other I sounded like I performed a sexual act. I'm not sure which one to distance from. I'm going to distance from both of them and then my follow-up failed explanation that only dug the hole deeper. That sounds bad too. We're gonna pretend none of this happened. Just reverse it and point guard. Yes, someone was asking about a point guard. I don't think you need necessarily another point guard. It's good to have guys that can create offense, but I don't need to go out of my way if I'm the Mavericks to acquire another point guard. You just need to, I think, curb Luka's usage a little bit. And I know that sounds contradictory because you look at that and you say, well, how are you going to say that Rick isn't using him enough, whether it's specifically the fourth quarter, the start of the fourth quarter, how do you say he's not using him enough in those circumstances, but then turn around and say that that he needs to have the ball in his hands less? I think they need more ball movement, and I think you use Luka more strategically rather than having him have to initiate pretty much everything and just run around as much as he does to find something. I think there's a balance that you can strike, and I think last year they were better, indistinguishably, unquestionably better at that last year. So that's what I look for. Where's another question? I need to quickly continue to pivot away from what I accidentally said. Do I think we need to go make a move at the trade deadline, big or small? They've thought small for recent years. I think, and the problem is, depending on how much deeper this hole digs is going to change their outlook, right? On one hand, you say, if they keep digging the hole deeper and they keep losing, then you say, oh, well, is that going to finally get them to make a move? It might, or it might work against you, and they might say, you know what? I think this year is a wash anyway. And, because of COVID and how many guys we had out and for how long, we should probably not, put an asterisk by it, run it back next year largely the same, just make some tweaks around the edges and see how they do then. I think that's a defeatist mentality. I really do. I understand not wanting to break continuity and things like that, but I also understand, dude, you were a 7 seed last year. You can talk as much as you want about health, but some of these guys are just going to have to take into consideration that they aren't going to be healthy, that they are going to miss games. And especially if you keep using Luka like you are this year and like you did last year, especially this year though, then you're likely to wear him down a little bit where he has to miss some time, whether it's for knick-knack injuries, knick-knack paddywhack, give a dog a bone, whether it's for getting nicked up injuries or something a little more severe like the ankle last year. Don't worry about it. Like, don't go in with that mentality of we just have to make adjustments around the edges. Go in and say, what can we do to make our team better? It's bold, but if we make a big move, and the Mavericks historically have been willing to pull that trigger, but have they gotten burned one too many times now and gotten a little bit scared of such an effort? Are they willing to take that big risk? And I think if you're kind of stuck in this middle ground where you're hovering somewhere, I mean, even if you're in the playoff picture, even if you're talking like 6 or 7 seed, I say you do it. I say you go for it because you have to keep things stable and you need to show accelerated growth. Now, this year, it's hard to get a read, but if you take away, last year we saw how good they could play. We saw that they could play with anybody. They could win in Milwaukee. They could win in the Staples Center against the Lakers. They could win in the playoffs against, if they were fully healthy, the Clippers. But even at half health, maybe, that was still enough for them to get through, to get to Game 6 with the Clippers. So there's a lot you can do, but you need to be bold. The Hawks earlier, we were talking about them. I know they're the 6th seed in the East, like 10-8 or something like that. They were damn bold in the offseason with some of their acquisitions. They had money and they spent it. The Mavericks have money for a max player this summer. So you could acquire one now, not even worry about having to negotiate. But I think the worst thing you can do is sit with your hands sit on your hands basically and just say, we'll see what happens. We're going to hold pat. If you're going to make a small acquisition, it better be like small in terms of cost, like low risk, high reward. I don't want to see this team hold pat and then expect me to buy that they're going to be better. And when I say better, I don't mean like that they won't make the playoffs. I mean that they're going to win a playoff series for the first time since the 2011 NBA Finals. That's what I expect. A playoff series win this year and a good showing in the second round. Are you capable of more? Yes, I think you are. But you have to at least give me that. Otherwise, I'm looking at all of this and saying, nah, something doesn't work here. I understand you had guys out for 9 games, but you played a 72-game season. I understand it took them some time to get back, but you're talking about less than a third of the year. That's not good enough. So we'll see what they do. Bradley Beal for Hardaway and Dwight, they wouldn't do it. Plus a pick or two. I think the price for Beal is going to be higher, honestly. I think you're going to have to pay a ransom. Mavericks beat Nuggets, Rockets at the start. What's happening right now? They got wrecked by health and safety protocols because of COVID. That's the main thing. And then the team came unglued with regard to its execution. I think the players, they allowed themselves to get down on the team's struggles, down a little bit on the coaches and their belief in those coaches. And I think things just kind of went haywire. They've got plenty of time that they can get it back in order, but we'll have to see. Thing is, now you have to sustain health. You have to build momentum. And it's not just win a game. Shit, you got to win 8 of your next 10 to get back to 500. It's a low bar, but with how the West is logjam right now, you can do it. So we're going to have to see, but that is going to wrap up, unfortunately, my time for this stream. I've got to go pick up my daughter, literally got to walk out the door in 2 minutes. So thank you guys for watching. I know things are rough. Just hang on a little bit longer. If in a week, damn sure 2 weeks, things haven't figured themselves out, then I'm going to be right there mashing the shit out of the panic button with you and trying to make sense of what we do next, because the year might turn into a wash at that point. But I like to look at the bright side, and I'm going to hang on as long as I can with this team. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to drop a like, leave a comment below, subscribe to the Dallas Prospect. And until next time, remember, every legend was once a prospect. Peace. Is the microphone freaking off? There's no way the microphone is off. There's no way. No. It's on. It's on. Don't scare me like that.